The room was already tense before a single word was spoken. Bright lights flooded the congressional hearing chamber, reflecting off polished wooden desks and rows of microphones. Journalists packed the back of the room, fingers hovering over keyboards, hungry for controversy. Cameras were rolling. Millions would be watching before the day was over. Tulsi Gabbard sat calmly at the witness table, her posture straight, hands folded neatly in front of her. She wore a simple navy blazer, nothing flashy, nothing distracting. Her face was composed, but her eyes were alert. She knew exactly why she had been called here. Across the room, Representative Maxine Waters adjusted her glasses and leaned forward in her chair. She had been waiting for this moment. Waters was known for her sharp tongue, her commanding presence, and her ability to dominate any room she entered. This hearing, officially about foreign policy accountability, had unofficially become something else entirely. A political showdown. The committee chair tapped the gavel. This hearing will come to order. A hush fell over the room. Tulsi had faced hostile interviews before, aggressive debates, and political attacks from all sides. But this felt different. The atmosphere was heavier, personal. Maxine Waters cleared her throat. "Ms. Gabbard," she began, her voice loud, deliberate, and edged with something unmistakably sharp, "you've built quite a reputation for yourself as someone who claims to speak the truth. But today, I'd like to find out exactly whose truth that is." A few murmurs rippled through the audience. Tulsi met her gaze without blinking. "I'm here to answer your questions, Congresswoman." Waters smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Oh, I'm sure you are." She shuffled her papers slowly, theatrically, letting the silence stretch. Cameras zoomed in. This was her stage. "Let's talk about your past statements," Waters continued. "Statements that many Americans believe were misleading, dangerous, and frankly, embarrassing to this country." Tulsi's jaw tightened slightly, but her voice remained steady. "I stand by my record." Waters leaned back, crossing her arms. "Do you?" she asked. "Because from where I sit, it seems you have a habit of playing the victim while pushing narratives that conveniently align with foreign interests." The word foreign landed like a hammer. Gasps echoed softly through the chamber. Tulsi inhaled slowly. With respect, she replied, "That's a serious accusation." Waters raised an eyebrow. "Oh, we're well past respect, Ms. Gabbard." A few committee members shifted uncomfortably. This was no longer policy discussion, it was turning personal fast. Waters leaned forward again, her voice rising. "You present yourself as a patriot," she said, "yet you've questioned our institutions, criticized our leadership, and undermined public trust. Tell me, do you enjoy confusing the American people?" The question wasn't meant to be answered. It was meant to wound. Tulsi paused. For a brief moment, the room expected her to snap back, to defend herself with anger, to show emotion. That's what everyone expected. But she didn't. Instead, she looked directly at Waters, her expression calm, almost reflective. "No," Tulsi said quietly. "I enjoy telling the truth, even when it's uncomfortable." A ripple of reaction swept through the audience. Waters scoffed. "Oh please," she said, waving a hand dismissively. "That's the excuse every controversial figure uses when they're called out." She glanced toward the cameras. "Let's be honest," Waters continued. "Your brand thrives on controversy. You say outrageous things, then cry foul when people respond." Tulsi felt the weight of the moment pressing on her chest, but she kept her composure. "I'm not crying foul," she replied. "I'm answering questions." Waters smirked. "Then answer this." She picked up a document and held it up. "Do you deny that your statements have been praised by individuals who openly oppose American interests?" The implication was clear and explosive. Tulsi's fingers tightened together. "I can't control who agrees or disagrees with me," she said. "But I can control my principles." Waters laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Principles," she repeated. "Is that what you call it?" The room grew louder. Journalists whispered. Social media feeds were already lighting up. The chair attempted to intervene. "Congresswoman Waters, please keep." "I am keeping it relevant," Waters snapped, not taking her eyes off Tulsi. Then she delivered the line she had been building toward. "Ms. Gabbard," Waters said slowly, "isn't it true that your so-called independence is nothing more than political opportunism?" The words hung in the air like smoke. This was it. The humiliation attempt. Tulsi could feel every eye on her. One wrong response, one emotional slip, and the narrative would be sealed forever. She closed her eyes briefly. Then she opened them, and something shifted. Tulsi leaned slightly toward the microphone. "Congresswoman Waters," she said, her voice calm but firm, "before I answer that, may I ask you a question?" Waters blinked, just once. "This is not an interview," Waters replied. "You don't ask the questions." Tulsi didn't back down. "I believe context matters," she said. "And the American people deserve clarity." The chair hesitated, but then nodded. "You may proceed," briefly. Waters looked visibly irritated. Tulsi turned slightly, addressing not just Waters, but the room. "Do you believe," she asked, "that questioning powerful institutions automatically makes someone disloyal?" Silence. Waters opened her mouth to respond, but Tulsi continued. "Do you believe that demanding accountability is un-American?" The tension skyrocketed. Waters shifted in her seat. Tulsi's voice grew stronger. "Because if that's the case," she said, "then our entire history, every reformer, every whistleblower, every civil rights leader, would be guilty." A few people in the audience nodded. Waters' smile had vanished. Tulsi turned back to her. "My independence isn't opportunism," she said. "It's the result of serving in uniform, seeing the cost of political games firsthand, and refusing to lie for approval." The room was dead silent now. Waters tried to interject, but Tulsi held her ground. "You may disagree with me," Tulsi continued, "but trying to humiliate someone for refusing to conform doesn't make you right." Waters froze. For the first time since the hearing began, she had no immediate response. Cameras zoomed in on her face. The chair cleared his throat. "Congresswoman Waters." She said nothing. The moment stretched. Tulsi sat back, her expression composed once again. The balance of power in the room had shifted, and everyone could feel it. And this was only the beginning. The silence inside the chamber was no longer just uncomfortable. It was suffocating. Maxine Waters stared forward, lips pressed tightly together, as if refusing to acknowledge what had just happened. Tulsi Gabbard sat motionless at the witness table, hands resting calmly, eyes steady. She hadn't raised her voice. She hadn't attacked. And somehow, that made her words hit even harder. The committee chair cleared his throat again. "Congresswoman Waters," he said cautiously, "do you wish to continue?" Waters inhaled sharply. She adjusted her papers, buying herself a moment. Cameras caught everything, the pause, the tension, the flicker of irritation behind her eyes. "Yes," Waters said at last. "I'm not finished." Her tone had changed. Gone was the theatrical confidence. In its place was something tighter, sharper. "Ms. Gabbard," she continued, "you speak eloquently about accountability. But what you conveniently avoid is the damage your rhetoric causes." Tulsi nodded slightly. "I'm listening." Waters leaned forward. "Your words," she said, "have consequences. They divide. They confuse. And they give comfort to those who seek to weaken this nation." Tulsi met her gaze. Respectfully, she replied, "Truth doesn't divide. Fear of truth does." A murmur swept through the audience again, louder this time. Waters' jaw clenched. "You see," she snapped, gesturing toward Tulsi. "This is exactly what I mean. You turn every criticism into a philosophical speech." Tulsi didn't flinch. "Because these aren't personal attacks," she said. "They're accusations that deserve serious answers." Waters exhaled sharply through her nose. "Fine," she said. "Let's talk specifics." She picked up another document. "You've criticized bipartisan leadership. You've questioned military interventions. You've publicly challenged intelligence assessments. Do you deny that?" "No," Tulsi said calmly. "I don't." Waters' eyes narrowed. "So you admit it?" "I admit," Tulsi continued, "that blind loyalty to power has cost lives." The room froze. Several committee members shifted in their seats. A reporter dropped a pen. Waters raised her voice. "Careful," she warned. "That's a dangerous statement." Tulsi's voice remained steady. "What's dangerous," she replied, "is sending people to fight and die without honest debate." For a moment, Waters looked genuinely taken aback. Then she scoffed. "Oh, spare us the moral grandstanding," she said. "You're not the only one who's served this country." "I never claimed to be," Tulsi answered. "But my service taught me something important." Waters folded her arms. "And what's that?" Tulsi paused, just long enough to draw everyone in. "That dissent is not disloyalty," she said. "And questioning authority is not betrayal." The words echoed through the chamber. Waters opened her mouth to respond, but the chair interrupted. "Let's maintain order," he said. "Congresswoman Waters, please proceed with a question." Waters nodded stiffly. "Very well," she said. "Ms. Gabbard, do you believe you know better than decades of established leadership?" Tulsi didn't hesitate. "I believe," she said, "that experience without accountability leads to stagnation." A few people in the audience gasped softly. Waters' voice rose again. "So now you're calling this body stagnant?" "I'm saying," Tulsi replied, "that no one, no matter how powerful, should be beyond scrutiny." Waters slammed her hand lightly on the desk. "That is enough," she said sharply. "You've turned this hearing into a lecture." Tulsi remained calm. "I was answering your questions." Waters shook her head. "No," she said. "You were deflecting." Tulsi leaned forward slightly. "If holding leaders accountable feels like deflection," she said, "then perhaps the questions need re-examining." That was it. Waters froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. For the second time that day, she was completely speechless. The cameras lingered on her face. Social media feeds exploded in real time. Finally, Waters leaned back in her chair. "This hearing," she said coldly, "is not about your feelings or your philosophy." Tulsi nodded. "I agree," she said. "It's about the American people." That simple statement landed harder than anything else she'd said. The chair seized the moment. "Thank you," he said quickly. "We'll move to the next member." Waters said nothing as the focus shifted away from her. Tulsi sat back, her breathing steady. She could feel the adrenaline finally begin to fade. But the impact of the exchange was only just beginning. Outside the chamber, reporters crowded the hallway. "What just happened in there?" one journalist whispered to another. "That," came the reply, "was not what anyone expected." Clips of the hearing flooded social media within minutes. Tulsi Gabbard shuts down Maxine Waters. Unexpected power shift in congressional hearing. Waters left speechless after calm rebuttal. Supporters and critics argued online, but one thing was undeniable. Tulsi hadn't taken the bait. She hadn't lashed out. She hadn't played the victim. She had stayed calm, and turned the spotlight back where it belonged. Inside the chamber, Waters sat quietly, staring at her notes. For someone who had built a career on commanding the room, losing control of the narrative, even briefly, was a rare and bitter experience. Tulsi gathered her papers and stood as the hearing adjourned. As she walked out, she passed Waters. For a brief moment, their eyes met. No words were exchanged. None were needed. The message had already been delivered, clearly, calmly, and in front of the entire nation. Sometimes, the most powerful response isn't anger, it's composure. And that day, it changed everything.